everyone, today we are going to talk about Japan. At the start we will talk about introduction and then we will talk about globalization in Japan, economic development and human development in Japan, culture distance between Japan and Australia, industry that Japan looking to train with and industry that Australia looking to train with, and then we will do the conclusion. According to the country's report from Passport, Japan is a constitutional monarchy and a sovereign state, and the impulse power is very limited. As a result, he was divided by the constitution as a symbol of the unity of the country and the people. The Japanese constitution is the oldest unreconstructed constitution in the world. It has not changed since its adoption on 3rd of May 1947. Let's look at the population. Japan is the second most populous island country with a population of 126.3 billion. The data was counted on 2019. 124.8 billion are Japanese nations. Japan is an urban society with only 5% of its workforce engaged in agriculture. Japanese society is homogeneous in language, ethnicity, and culture. It consists of 98.1% Japanese and the foreign workers are very small. For the economic part, Japan is the third largest national economy in the world, after the United States and China in terms of nominal GDP, and the fourth largest national economy in the world, after the United States, China, and India in terms of purchasing power parity. However, Japan is the highest debt level among all developed economies relative to GDP. Public debt in 2018 totaled 1,327 trillion yen, equivalent to 240% of GDP.
When it comes to the globalization in Japan, it is difficult to imagine a country being more globalized than Japan. It has to show the world in high-tech experts, be they automobiles and microelectronic products or varnish. And Japan, a Japan company has invested all over the world, and Japan has participated in one-side globalization, exporting more than its imports and investing massively overseas, but lacking in world investment. And it turns out that the real barrier between the Japan and the rest of the world are behind the world barrier, like products and the labor market regulation, and the rules linked to cross-border M&As. When it comes to the positive factor, first, the great cross-border mobility of goods, labor, and capitals, each of which promises significant overall benefits for economy. And free trade enables countries to capitalize on their comparative advantage, boosting all participated economies, performance and perspective. And second is migration can inject the diversity and vitality into an aging society. And the foreign direct investment can create employment. And the last one is the global pleasure of forcing Japan's firms to become more environmentally conscious and responsible. Since the firms undertake foreign direct investment are more likely to have high standard of environmental management. When it comes to the negative factor, the collapse of the lifetime environment is had to lead to the least regulation and that are increasingly governed by merchants rather than fairness, and the slowing growth and increased economic risk. And the economy of the Japan is a highly developed and market-oriented economy, and the GDP grows dramatically, and it is the third largest GDP over the world, and is fourth largest by purchasing power parity. And in the world, the positive factor of the globalization is more than the negative factor. So we conclude that Japan is a winner of the globalization?
Firstly, there are two types of economy which are transition and emergent. Yasuo Takeichi argued that Japanese socialism was high-grade socialism that adapted itself to this special situation, and which continued to evolve. However, the situation has changed. The growth is over and the society will age with a decreased population. Under this condition, socialism cannot go ahead with a system that would confiscate from those who can bear it and redistribute to the needy, and we will be forced to the end the unnatural way of socialism and return to the normal and the natural way. Japan, as a developed country, is making a transition, means that the economy of Japan is moving toward greater democracy and economic liberalization. I will explain what caused Japan to become a transition economy. This diagram gives information about how the GDP value changed between 1916 and 2018. During the period 1916 to 1985, Japan adopted a planned socialist method to develop economically after the war. However, we can note that the term of development was not well from the diagram. After 1985, the value of GDP dramatically rose because of Japan's more openness to economy. Therefore, it shows that openness economy brings a positive effect on Japan. Due to the rapid development of the economy, the middle classes of Japan as well as increase and promote Japan into the transition economy. Secondly, the Human Development Index is a statistical complexity of life expectancy, education, and the per capita income indicators that divide the country into 4 levels of human development. The line graph illustrates the trend of HDI from 1919 to 2017 in Japan, and this period saw the HDI value was increased gradually. According to the newest data, the HDI value of Japan is 0.909 in 2017, which ranking is 19th, which belongs to very high human development. In details, the life expectancy at birth is 83.9 years, and the expected years of schooling are 15.2 years, and the GNI per capita is 38,986. This value reflects the living standard of a country, so the level of living standard in Japan is higher than in many countries. From the above information, it is proving that Japanese society is become more democratic, as well as means that Japan has adopted a transition economy. To sum up, both economic and human development level of Japan is comparatively high. For those Australian firms looking forward to investing in Japan, I suggest they spend more effort and focus on economic development conditions. The first reason is that the HDI value of Australia and Japan are both belong to high human development, and the gap between the two values is not large. So, human development does not have a significant impact on Australian firm. Hence, it is required for companies to focus on details on the potential of human rights. Another big reason is that they have a different legal system. A different legal system may influence the investor whether can make the right decision. Australia's legal system is mainly based on the common law, which is affected by British legal system. Under the Australian legal system, all people, whether domestic or international, are treated equally before the law and the safeguards to ensure the unfair judgment by government or officials. However, the Japanese legal system experienced significant reformation after the World War II, according to the US legal system. So it is a mixture of civil law and the common law. Overall, the Japanese legal system is close to the Europe system. Due to the different legal system, it is highly probable in the progress of business there will be some issues rising frequently about legal gaps. So, Australia firms should know the legal system of Japan firstly, that can improve the rate of accuracy of the reimbursement plan. Otherwise, Australia firm may face a fail-immersed situation.
It is important for a person to understand the culture of a country and be able to adjust to it, as this might cause stress and intercultural communication competence for an individual, especially if the country was Japan. And to understand more about the country's culture, we use Hofstede cultural dimension that include power distance, uncertainty avoidance, individualism, collectivism, masculinity, femininity, long-term and short-term orientation, indulgence, and restraint. Next, we will look more on the Japanese culture.
Japan and Australia are both countries that not necessarily equate with their culture. Japan is multicultural society. The culture of Japan has changed greatly over the millennia from the country's prehistoric Roman period to its contemporary modern culture, which absorbs the influence from Asia, Europe, and North America. And by contrast, Australia is a multicultural society. Culture in Australia offers an extensive and up-to-date examination of the force of enhancing Australian cultural priorities and politics and the practice. And the culture of its six elements for the country's culture, and the most different for Japan and Australia is religion and language. For Japan, which is a high context language, while Australia is a low context language for maybe English more. It's not hard like Japanese to learn and speak. And the religion in these countries, there are two main religions in Japan, the Shinto and the Buddhism. Recently find that the 39% of Japanese people identify as Buddhist, and 3.9 are Shinto and 2.3 are Buddhist. And the Australian major religion is Anglican, and the Catholic account for 66 of the Australian population. And the culture of Japan and Australia are becoming more disparate or similar. For my opinion, I consider the Australian and Japan's culture are becoming more similar. For the environment is when two countries has more similar, they could become more similarities could be more similar. For Australian culture is often very contradictional. Originally found as a conveyed culture, and Australia has become increasingly multicultural since the white Australia was discovered in the early 1970s. However, the diversity has definitely come at a cost, where cultural clash can be seen on both micro and macro scales.
Coming to answer the fourth question, David Ricardo arguments are the following. First, the principle of comparative advantage. According to Gilbert, Ricardo used a scenario of trading between England and Portugal and how each country can gain comparative advantage when specializing and devoting its capital and resources in producing efficiently the most beneficial product for the country, as well as trading with each other. Second, the rule of specialization. It was explained using Ricardo's rule that it is favorable for a country to buy another country's imported product that is lower in real cost rather than domestically producing the imported product. Finally, the theory of value. Valuing the worth of product and its production through the required labeled quantity and its durability of its capital. The value of product differs from one country to another. That the top exports of Japan are high in figures reaching $2 billion, even though Japan is a country with a poor or limited resources. Most of the exports income are gained through exports of car and vehicle parts following integrated circuits and machinery and industrial printers. And according to Observatory of Economic Complexity, these commodities are exported to countries such as China, America, South Korea, Hong Kong, and other Asian countries. So where does Japan export the car to? Focusing on the exports of car, Japan exports car to many countries such as Germany, which accounts for 21%, America 7.5%, UK 6%, Spain 4.9%, and South Korea 5.4%. Also, we can notice that Europe, which is the purple block, is the biggest importer of Japanese cars overall. As for the vehicle parts, most of the vehicle parts are exported to the United States and China, which account for 24% and 21% respectively. Also to Thailand and Mexico and several European countries. Overall, Asia, which is the red block, is the biggest importer to Japanese vehicle parts. So which industry should Japan specialize in? Based on the previous data, we can say that for Japan to gain comparative advantage, it should specialize in industries such as engineering, IT and technology, machine manufacturing, and most importantly, on innovation and entrepreneurship. This is because Japan is a country that has little natural resources and is always importing from other countries. So when it specializes in technological innovation and investing in employees with high IT skills, it can lower its import cost as well as gain comparative advantage. These ideas are supported by Sato as well as by Jurgis. Moreover, looking at Japan's trade balance, we can see that recently this year the imports level has dropped slowly by 1.2%. We can explain this by saying that Japan is decreasing its cost from importing from other countries and is depending on its technological innovations that satisfied its need and replaced a small proportion of other countries' imports.
Let's look at which industry that Australia will look at when they are looking to trade with other countries. Australia has over 10 free trade partners. The number one trading partner is China. China is Australia's natural resource demand and consumption in 2018 accounts for about one-third of total merchandise export. Australia is also a member of WTO. Given its size in the resource sector, minerals is Australia's largest export category and also makes the country a net energy export. In 2018, the mineral products export reached 145 billion. As a result, Australia is highly vulnerable to changes in global commodity price, which may have a negative impact on economic development. This also makes the export base relatively simple. Australia has a natural endowment of mineral. If Australia looking to trade with China, they can export iron ore, coal, and natural gas. According to the research from Hormuz, due to the increase in LNG liquefied natural gas exports, the Australians' current account deficit narrowed in 2017 and 2018. As a result, export government is better than import government and has led to a significant increase in the trade surplus. Other commodities such as wood and wealth and other minerals may perform well as China's income increase. If Australia is looking to import from China, they can import household appeals and engineering products. Because China has more labor than Australia, the cost of import from other countries will be cheaper and more efficiency than they produce the products by themselves. There are 90% of Australia's merchandise imports come from China, 90% of which are carefully modified finished products. In the 1990s, household appeals replaced the initial import of clothing and footwear. Today, 50% of Australian goods imported from China are engineering products, including office and telecommunication equipment. If Australia is looking to trade with Japan, they can also export coal and iron. Other than that, they can also export beef to Japan. The most common products that Australia will import from Japan is cars. The second one is refilled petrol and gold. There is no doubt that Japanese cars are much more reliable and cheaper than Australian cars. In conclusion, Japan is the winner of globalization and made remarkable achievements in all aspects. Japan has adopted a transitional economy, which greater significance to an Australian film considering established a presence in Japan. Cultures of Japan and Australia are become more similar. Japan has competitive advantage when specializing in manufacturing cars and vehicle parts and focusing on IT and innovation. When Australia looking to join with other countries, for example China, they can think about iron or coal industry export and import household appeals from China. And that's all for today. Thank you for listening.